In this video, we are going to be discussing the structure of the cell. What is the structure of the cell? Basically, the cell is made up of two parts, which are a cell membrane and a cytoplasm. So let's talk about the cell membrane. The cell membrane is a membrane that surrounds, or you can say that borders around the cell. It keeps the components of the cell intact. It protects the cell from external environment, and it regulates the passage of substance into and out of the cell. So in our next video, we are going to be discussing the cell membrane in more details, but in this video we are just going to introduce you to the cell membrane. Like we said, the cell membrane is the border of the cell. It surrounds the cell, keeping the components of the cell intact, and regulates the passage of substance into and out of the cell. In addition to cell membrane, some organisms also have an extra covering that surrounds the cell membrane. For example, plants have a cellulose cell wall that surrounds their cell membrane, making the cells of plants rigid. Organisms such as bacteria also have an extra covering. For bacteria, this extra covering is called peptidoglycan. Also for fungi also have an outer covering, which is called chitin. So most cells have an extra covering in addition to the cell membrane, except for animal cells. Animal cells do not have an extra covering aside that of the cell membrane. So that is one of the differences between animal cells and other cells. After talking about the cell membrane, let's talk about the other part of the cell, which is the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is basically the fluid portion of the cell. It's basically made up of fluids, about 90% water. So it's a fluid medium. Within this fluid medium, there are some small structures that are embedded in it. These small structures are referred to as cell organelles. From the name organelles, meaning small organs. So in the cytoplasm, there are structures embedded in the cytoplasm called organelles. So we are going to be discussing the function and structure of each organelles. So the first organelle we are going to be looking at is the nucleus. The nucleus is the largest cell organelle. It is the most easily seen organelle when looking through a microscope. What is the function of the nucleus? Basically, the nucleus controls the activities of the cell. So all the activities within the cell are regulated by the nucleus. The nucleus is like the brain of the cell, regulating all the functioning of the cell. It does this because it contains genetic information such as DNA and RNA, which are passed on from parents to offspring. Next organelle is the mitochondria. Mitochondria is commonly referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. This is because it is a site for cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is the process whereby plants produce energy in form of ATP. So during cellular respiration, energy is produced in form of ATP by the mitochondria. Next is the ribosome. Ribosomes are small granular organelles that are responsible for protein synthesis. What is protein synthesis? From the name protein and synthesis, it basically means production of proteins. So ribosome is the site where proteins are produced in the cell. Next is the endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum in the cell are divided into two types. We have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum on its surface have ribosome embedded in it. That is why it is referred to as rough. While the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is smooth and does not have any ribosome attached to its surface. So what is the function of the endoplasmic reticulum? The rough endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for protein synthesis. This is because it has ribosomes attached to its surface, while the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for the synthesis of products such as cholesterol, lipids, and steroids. Next organelle is the Golgi apparatus. This is also called the post office of the cell. This is because it performs these functions: sorting, processing, and packaging of cellular materials. Next organelle is the lysosome. Lysosomes are referred to as the suicide bag of the cell. This is because they contain hydrolytic enzymes that can degrade the cell and degrade harmful substances that invade the cell. Next organelle is the peroxisomes. Peroxisomes contain oxidative enzymes that help detoxify harmful substances such as alcohol, drugs, and hydrogen peroxide. For example, peroxisomes of the liver cell degrade up to 90% of the alcohol taken into the body. So peroxisomes, the major function of peroxisomes is detoxifying of harmful substances taken into the cell. Next organelle is chloroplast. Chloroplasts are only found in plant cells. Animal cells do not have chloroplasts. So what is the function of chloroplast? Chloroplast is the site for photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process whereby plants produce their own food using light energy. So chloroplast is sometimes referred to as the kitchen of the cell. This is because it is the site for production of food.